whose authority are you under? Whose authority are you under? And how are you in responding to and respecting that authority? Number two, who are you in authority over? Would they say that you are loving, honorable, gracious, the character of Christ, which makes it easier to respect? What tends to happen is, because we're hypocrites, when we're in authority, we want people to respect authority. When we're under authority, we find lots of excuses and reasons that we don't have to respect authority. And this is part of the human condition since sin has entered the world. In addition, he gives us some very specific commands, 7 in particular. Number 1, do good to silence ignorant and foolish people. Question, are there still ignorant and foolish people? Yes. Are they loud? Yes. Okay. You could say it quietly. It doesn't mean you're one of them. Yes. Okay. So what he's saying is that ignorant and foolish people tend to be the most loud. And if you argue or fight with them, do they tend to get quieter? No. They just make you more foolish and ignorant. It just multiplies the problem. By having good conduct and character, you can silence the ignorant and foolish. What he's talking about here is something that we would call civil disobedience. He's talking about nonviolent resistance. He's talking about when everyone is behaving inappropriately, conduct yourself in such a way to set a godly alternative example. Set a godly alternative example. He goes on to say that you should live free, but don't you use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. And what we tend to do is when circumstances happen, we use them as cover fire or a cover-up for evil. Evil happened, therefore I get to do evil. They did something bad, therefore we get to do something bad. They said something wrong, therefore we get to say something wrong. And what that is not justice, that is injustice. And it just multiplies evil. It exacerbates and escalates the problem. I'll give you one example. Something wrong was done. An innocent man's life was taken. And then ultimately, people decide, well, we get to go riot and loot and destroy businesses. That's using that circumstance, which is tragic and wrong, as a cover-up for evil. A lot of those business owners that I've spoken to around the country, they told me that insurance tends not to come with domestic terrorism, civil disobedience, or riot coverage. It's an additional. So a lot of those businesses and small businesses that didn't have anything to do with the actual event, they are now bankrupt and they have to close their doors forever. And that would be using evil as a cover-up for more evil. And what he says is, don't do that. Don't do that. He says, in fact, instead, we should use our energies to serve God. In the middle of it all, people want to serve their own interests. This is where everything gets politicized. This is why every event that happens, it gets pulled to the right or gets pulled to the left. For the Christian, we need to pull it up. Okay, God, what do you think? What do you say? What do you want? What's your agenda? How do I help people meet the Lord Jesus through all of this? Don't lose your mission. Don't lose your message. He says, serve God. Don't just serve your interests. Don't just serve your kind. Don't just serve your party. Don't just serve your agenda. Find a way in the middle of it to serve God. He says to honor who? He says to honor everyone. What about the people that we know are wrong? What about the people that we don't like? What about the people that are very offensive or very unkind or agitators and instigators? Do we honor them too? Okay. Honor doesn't mean you agree with them. If you're married, you know this. You need to honor your spouse. Doesn't mean you always agree with them. But it means if you're going to have a relationship, there needs to be some mutual respect. Doesn't mean you agree with everyone. It doesn't mean that you support everyone. It doesn't mean that you endorse everyone. It doesn't mean that you bless everyone. It doesn't mean that you fund everyone. It means that in your disagreement, you honor the relationship by treating them in an honorable way. Because as Christians, our goal is not to win an argument, but to win a person. If you don't honor someone, you might win the argument, but you will not win the person. And our goal is not to just win arguments for Jesus, but to win people to Jesus. And that requires honor so that there can be a context of relationship. Thanks for joining me. My name is Pastor Mark. I've been teaching the Bible for more than 3 decades and head-on constant collisions with woke culture. And I would love to get you more Bible teaching. 2 things you can do. Go ahead and watch the sermon in total and also subscribe to the channel. And I'll just keep sending you Bible teaching and we'll have a lot more fun together.